Okay, so welcome to kind of the rundown and review of Monday night's game, Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I said I wasn't even thinking about really reviewing this game, but let's just say it became extremely interesting. So, first of all, let's just go over the matchup really. Cincinnati Bengals were taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers coming off of a two-game losing streak. And the Bengals, I don't remember the last time they won a game without Joe Burrow. So, pretty much, this game looked like Pittsburgh's rebound game. And to give you a little bit of background behind that game, if Pittsburgh won the game, they clinched the AFC North division. Not just that, they would have officially pretty much won the division, pretty much had their playoff spot set for them. And honestly, nothing really else mattered. The problem is they did not win. In fact, they lost 17 to 27 to the Cincinnati Bengals, not Bungles, as most people would call them, Bengals. I can't say how just this weekend was full of upsets. The Rams versus the Jets. Really want to say the Patriots game, but can't. Bears beating the Vikings, I would say, is an upset. But this is the most just surprising. Like, yeah, the Jets beat the Rams, but you could have said trap game. Vikings, Bears, kind of close to call, but again, it's the Bears. This game is so shocking to me because this is a rivalry. This is a team that has not beaten. I don't remember. Ever since I followed football, I have never ever seen the Cincinnati Bengals beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Never. I again, this team has lost so many times to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They always lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then they win. But they don't just win. They just don't win because they're a good team. They win in a season they are tanking. This season is probably one of the most disgusting seasons for Bengals fans. If you don't know, Geno Atkins suffered an injury, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Suffered an injury and officially basically said to the Bengals front office, I'm not returning next season, which I think is very good because he's lived a long career. He got a big contract with Cincy, and now I think he wants to go get a ring, which I think is all well and done. But that's another defensive player that's gone. AJ Green, I don't think he's going to be coming back this season. He was on a franchise tag, and I think he's fed up with the organization. And judging by how well T. Higgins has played, T. Higgins has been such a beast. And Tyler Boyd, I don't think he's going to be coming back, and I think he'll be some more cap room, which they can hopefully use on that O-line. But the biggest surprise I saw was what Joe Burrow, of course, is out with the ACL tear and an MCL tear. So I was thinking, who is their quarterback going to be? Because, of course, they've rotated quite a few people around. I think Paxton Lynch might even be on their roster. But then they put in Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley has never won a football game in his career. Or at least was with the Bengals. I don't know if they drafted him last year. But he has not won. So they started him. And it just looks like Pittsburgh, you want a win, here you go. Because the Bengals' defense isn't good. Their coaching is not good. It is not looking like a good game. It is not looking like Cincy's going to win. I mean, Pittsburgh has stayed fairly healthy this season. Their defense has been great. Their offense, I'm going to get into in a minute. But they've played to where they can win. And I have to read the stats of Ryan Finley because I look at them and I am just in utter shock of how do you beat one of the best teams in the league with these stats. And again, I get why they were doing this. I get the whole reason, like, why they were trying to make it more of a conservative passer, because I think that's what he's going to be as a quarterback. Ryan Finley, in my opinion, is more of a conservative quarterback, but I mean, that's just my opinion. Nothing wrong with that. I think Kirk Cousins is kind of conservative, but he'll be willing to be dangerous at sometimes, and I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But Ryan Finley, jeez, I'm looking at these stats again, and I'm just shocked. Ryan Finley went 7 for 13. So he was over 50% passer completion, 89 yards. He didn't break 100. 89 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, no turnovers by the entire team, which is shocking. And then we come to Giovanni Bernard. Giovanni Bernard is, of course, their backup running back because Joe Mixon, who got a big payday and is just such a good player, is injured. Giovanni Bernard, if you don't remember, go back to the 2016 wild card game where Cincinnati they got a extremely good pick off of Big Ben and all they had to do was run the ball. Giovanni ran the ball because Mixon was also injured during that time and he fumbled it. And Pittsburgh scored off of it. So Giovanni, and of course, I've seen him some other games with the Bengals, and he has been, in my opinion, a very notable player to fumble the ball and give it away. As I'm, his stats are 25 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Now that's not great. I don't even know if I would say that's good, but that's a decent. I mean, that's decent. Again, you're facing one of the best defenses in the league, one of the best rushing defenses in the league, so obviously you get a little more slack for that. But then you come back to Ryan Finley, who 10 carries for 47 yards and a touchdown. So Ryan Finley had, I would say, a decent game. I mean, again, this was his first start of the season. To come out, beat Pittsburgh, and look mediocre or decent. Honestly, just a great overall game for Cincy. I think they did pretty well. Now, Pittsburgh is where I'm going to be critical, and this is kind of the reason why I decided to record this, because I wanted to talk about Pittsburgh. I said I didn't want to talk about Pittsburgh unless they lost again, and I said, well, they'd probably lose the Colts, and that's it. I don't think they'll lose the Browns. I could definitely see Pittsburgh losing their last 3 games. This is incredibly embarrassing and disgraceful. So Big Ben threw the ball a little bit more than Ryan Finley, but he went 20 for 38, 170 yards, which is not bad, but lackluster. 1 touchdown and 1 hideous interception. I'm gonna be honest. I really said Big Ben is finished. Big Ben is done. He needs to retire because he is not looking like the same quarterback. I mean, I saw last year for the 2 games he played, he was not the same quarterback he once was. He still put up really good stats against the Patriots, but no touchdowns, no meat on there was just no meat on the bones of where it was like good stats for Ben, but there was no success in it. And oh boy, this season he's gotten worse, and I thought they would do what they did with Aaron Rodgers last year, which was kind of take the pressure off of Big Ben, because again, the dude suffered a big injury. You have one of the best O-lines, some of the best running backs. You have a pretty young, good receiving core and a good defense, and yet you're still making him throw the ball. He's not playing well. He needs to retire, but he's just said he's not going to retire, which also, if I am a Pittsburgh fan, I would get panicked because he is going to take up $41 million in cap room next season. And with the cap due to COVID, actually, you know what? Yes, due to COVID, cap room is going to be a little tight next year. And 41, and of course, to make things worse, Juju Schuster is also going to be a free agent next year. As a Patriots fan, I have a dark feeling we're going to sign him, and I don't want that to happen. And we'll get that right now. So, Juju's stats. Now, if you don't know, Juju Schuster has been dancing on all of the logos every game, every time. He's been dancing, blah, 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 whatever the crap he's doing. I get he's trying to be funny, but I said you are painting a target on your back. Because when Tua, and I saw this when Tua said, oh, the league's kind of easier than I thought. What happened after that game? Tua played the Denver Broncos, a team that my Patriots should have beat, and this kind of an easy team. He got smacked by that Denver defense, and he learned the hard way that this league is not easy. You're insulting everyone, and now you have a target on your back. And Dolphins looked really shaky after he said that, and he, I don't think, ever apologized for it, so that's why you don't say stuff like that, and you just respect the elders, and you don't ever want to put a target on your team. Juju has refused to stop dancing, refused to stop doing this, and he has had, I think, 1 or 2 good games. This is what he had against the Bengals. 3 catches, 15 yards, and that hideous fumble. And he got smacked. Really, if I am Pittsburgh, and if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm not going to say boycott Juju or don't sign Juju. I will say give him a 2-year deal, and if he doesn't perform, cut him. He's a bust. Because he doesn't seem to care about football. And you could go to the whole Antonio Brown saga, but at least Antonio Brown was good. That's the only thing people would say is like, well, at least Antonio Brown was good. Juju Schuster has had 1 good year. Last year he was below average and injury prone, and you also had multiple other receivers that were good. And then you come into this season, and you have Chase Claypool, who really was probably one of the best steals of the draft. Dude looks to be a beast of a receiver. And to me, it just seems like you don't need Juju. I mean, honestly, this receiver core doesn't seem like it needs a main guy, and you have multiple guys and multiple weapons. And this team is built around that defense. I think, personally, Juju is a distraction to that locker room. And I think Juju is the reason why you guys have been getting beat the last 2 weeks. That's why I think you got beat by Washington. That's why I think you got beat by Buffalo. And that's why I think you got beat by the Cincinnati Bengals. But what does this defeat mean? Well, let's just go over the Bengals. Basically, this doesn't do too much to their draft stock, since at first I thought, oh shoot, the entire NFC East is going to be like the first 5 picks. And then I look back and I'm like, nope, since he's still up there. And just really doesn't do that much. So kind of for since he was like, hey, we can ruin one of our rivals and not lose any draft stock. Now we go to what this does for Pittsburgh, and I'm on the inside just laughing so hard. They have officially opened the door for the Cleveland Browns to take the division. Yes, this is 2020, but all Cleveland has to do is win the next 2 games, and Pittsburgh has to lose the next 2 games, and this is their schedule. Pittsburgh has to pardon? Pittsburgh is gotta go and face the Colts. And I think the Colts, they're going to be coming out and saying, we're gonna win, we're going back to the playoffs. And then, do you know who the Browns have? The New York Jets. They are facing the New York Jets. And I know you could say this looks like a trap game for Cleveland, But there has been no trap games for Cleveland.